Sorry about that.
No worries. No problem. No problem. Okay. I think it is live now. No, it is showing
Uh,
that.
yeah, it's custom live, but I don't know whether it's really live or not.
We can check YouTube.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So today we have Miss Dr. Jeny Raphael with us. She's a educator and a psychologist with 20 plus years of experience. So I would like to hand the mic over to Miss Jenny, whose topic for today is learning and whose topic is online learning and parenting. So Miss Jenny, can you please?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Sneha. Good evening. A warm welcome to all present here, one and all. Everybody, I welcome parents, teachers, students, everybody. Welcome to this program. And my heartfelt thanks to Inpsych organization who gave me this opportunity to present this topic on this online platform. And I'm happy that so many participants have registered to this because it is a need of the hour because we don't know how long we are going to continue in this mode. That is, we are going through a difficult time, and we must be prepared to deal with the changes for which we were not at all prepared. And this change was unprecedented. And we have to think about it in order to safeguard the quality of education. We need participation of the parents a lot, and the school personnel also must be ready to deal with this change. So, this presentation, this webinar, I have divided into three sections. In the first session, we will be looking into the online education scenario of Indian society. What is happening in India? What is the ground reality? We will be looking into it. And the second session, it will be dealing with the kind of change that we are facing today. What all things we must pay attention to? That is a question. Parents, teachers, and students themselves. What they can do to safeguard the quality of education and to deal with this difficult time, how to navigate with the changes. And the third session will be exclusively dedicated to parents. In that session, we will be discussing about the tips, how parents handle better this online learning of their students, school learning of their students. So without wasting much time, I am entering into the presentation. In between, if you have any questions, you can convey to me. And if it is possible, I will be answering to your questions. So let us enter into the presentation. I see that it is not able to present the screen. I would like to communicate with the host of the participant. I can't share the screen. What is the matter?
Mahesh, can you please make sure that there is someone who is making ma'am the host at the moment?
I can't share the screen. The message I get is the host disabled participant screen sharing. I think you can enable it. Okay, I will try. Oh yes, now it is okay. Sorry. Okay, let us kickstart the discussion of this program, that is online learning and parenting. What's the role of the parent? That will be the main theme of today's presentation. And you will be getting some insight into your own role and the role of or online education in the online education, what you can do, what how can you make it better and safeguard your students, protect your students from untoward incidents or events happening in the online platform. So pay attention to the things I am presenting here. Let us look what is happening in India. Let us look from a macro level, this online education platform. What is happening? What is the state of online education in Indian scenario? It was a sudden shift. We were not prepared for this shift. Teachers, parents, and every stakeholders of education, you were not at all prepared for this. It came all on a sudden, this online platform of learning and teaching. And this is a question, pertinent question. Are we really prepared? This is the two phases of Indian society, Indian education system. There is one group of students learning sitting under the lamp and have no facilities, but a good portion of Indian students are enjoying the internet facilities. And there is no hindrance to them, and they are enjoying it. This pandemic, we can say, has not much has not much affected their education. Of course, this is a graph I got from internet regarding the statistical data about the spread of internet in our community, Indian society. Of course, it is increasing. The accessibility of internet, it is increasing year after year. The data shows here that 2015 to 2021, including 2020, 23, 22, and 23. It is predicted the next 2 years we will be having 666.4 percentage. But this is another phase of reality. That is, there is digital divide. Females are having low accessibility of internet, mobile phones, and all that compared to males. And this is gender divide in the accessibility of internet. And this is evident in urban areas like this. The graph shows it, the difference. In the rural area also, it is like this. And all over India, females are getting accessibility of female group for the internet is very, very low compared to that of males. And this is a newspaper report I got from the internet, which has been published in 2016. In that, it says that a sizable number of internet connections are suffering from low speeds. And 2/3 of internet connections are in cities, urban areas. Only 1/3 is allocated to the rural areas. This is the scenario of or a configuration of internet spreading our country. And the scenario has not changed after 2016 actually. We can go further into the statistical reports. This is the newspaper report I got. It says that only 8% of homes with young members have computer with network link. And this conclusion is based on the statistics collected from the survey conducted on 2017 to 2019. And the Ministry of Rural Development conducted it. Shows that 16% of India's households received 1 to 8 hours of electricity daily. That is, distribution of electricity is 1 to 8 hours only for 16% of household of India. And 33% received 9 to 12 hours electricity. And only 47% received more than 12 hours a day. This is another ground reality of Indian system. Now, another newspaper report says that 24% Indians own a smartphone. It is true that 24% Indians have smartphone, but only 11% of households possess any type of computer, actually. And according to the 2017 and 17 to 18 national sample survey says that 24% of Indian households have an internet facility. 24%, while 66% of the population lives in villages. Only a little over 15% of rural households have access to internet services. That means, I repeat, in rural India, only 15, more than a little bit more than 15% have access to internet services. Then question is what our students studying in rural area is going to face, what they're going to do, or how they are going to face this pandemic situation and online education facilities. For urban households, the proportion is 42%. Households in urban area enjoy 42% of the households have smooth functioning of internet facility is there. And there is state-wise digital divide is there. Means in some states, the internet is available without much hindrance. For example, in Kerala, 23.5% of the population enjoys internet facility, but it is only 4.6% in Bihar, and it is 35% in Delhi. That means distribution of internet is not even across the states of the country, various states of the country. And regarding the broadband connection, you must read it, you must go through these statistics. Over 3% face cable cuts, 53% face poor connectivity, and 32% face signal issues. And in the case of mobile data, 40.2% face poor connectivity and 56.6% face signal issues. I have to say that all these statistics have been collected based on very reliable surveys conducted through very reliable statistical methods, because it has been published in renowned newspapers like the Hindu, the Times of India, the Week, like that. 2019 report is this. And 2020, the print, it is an online journal, as far as I could understand. The print, you can search the internet whether this news report is true or not. It says that only 12.5% homes of Indian students have internet access. This is the latest report I got on searching the internet. But national sample survey data suggests online teaching is a non-starter for most. Yes, we have begun online teaching and learning, but for many, it has not yet begun. They are sitting home, just not entering into the mainstream education now going through our country. And there is a large group of disadvantaged students in this time. We must understand it. This digital divide in the Week magazine, I think I got this report from this. That is 8.5% females could use the internet only in rural areas. This is the latest fact. Among 13% of the people surveyed, only 13% surveyed. And the poorest households cannot afford a smartphone or computer, and according to the survey. So digital India is not matured enough to deal with online education. This is a ground reality. We must all understand this. And this is a painful fact, which we will be it will it appear to it appears difficult, very much difficult to accept this fact that Ministry of Human Resource Development budget for the year 2019-20. What is the state? They say that it has been reduced. The amount allotted for digital infrastructure development for Indian community, Indian society has been reduced by Ministry of Human Resource Development budget from rupees 6,000 crore in 1922 reduced to rupees 4 6 not 6,604 to 469, and it is very much lamentable condition in this area we are going through. And this is the what I wanted to say regarding some realities of online education. And this is a piece of news regarding an event took place in my state, that is Kerala state. You need not read the entire lines in this piece of news, but you must go through the lines I have highlighted using the red color. There is a girl studying in standard 10 committed suicide. They say that the reports say that she is academically brilliant. She was gifted actually. And the reason for her suicide is this was the first suicide in the pandemic that take place in this way. That is reason for her suicide was she thought that her academic performance would be greatly affected because she hasn't any accessibility to internet facilities. She was from a destitute background, and she was anxious whether and depressed whether her studies will be suffered, and over that she committed suicide. And following this, many suicide incident took place all over the country. We can see that. So we must think what is happening in the minds of the student. When a student sees that he has no access to the internet facilities which his friends and classmates are enjoying, what will be his response? What will be his reaction? We must think into it. Usually we can expect these four kinds of responses or reactions from the students. Of course, there will be a group of students who will be feeling nothing in particular when they see that there is no internet accessibility, internet is accessible to him, and online classes are going on, but he can't reach. But there is a group of students who may feel nothing in particular because they will not be having high aspirations in the line of education. Their goals about life will not be surrounding the education, or they need not be focusing on education much for some or other reason. And for some other group of students, their motivation dries up, their interest in learning, it gets dampened. They can't find motivation because they used to draw motivation or interest to learn, curiosity to learn. They derived it from classroom situations, school atmosphere, and they are going to lose it, motivation to learn. And majority of the students is likely to respond in the third way. They are likely to fall prey to a situation called anxiety and depression. Clinical anxiety and clinical depression may ensue from the difficulties of students, psychological difficulties students face due to lack of accessibility of internet. And the final extreme, in the extreme cases, there will be suicide. So in the present scenario, if India is going to enter into online education mode, we can say that we are violating the Right to Education Act. Right to Education Act, we will be violating if we are, at present, we are entering into online mode of education. This is a fact, we have to acknowledge it and accept it because equity is denied here. This is the present condition of India. Now let us enter into the major focus of this webinar, that if your child if your student is able to get or conduct her learning activities in the online platform, how you can help him, how you can motivate him, how you can monitor his or her studies. We will be discussing as a parent, as a teacher, what you can contribute towards the online learning scenario of your students or your children. And students themselves will get some insight into this main focus of webinar, that is online education. Let us view from a micro level. Micro level means let us look into the new classroom. Here new classroom is home. Yes, their parents roles, we have to redefine it, because classroom is inside the home. And what is happening there, let us look into it. I'm asking, we have shifted our teaching and learning to the online platform. So actually, what is visible? What is visible to our eyes? What is it? For students, the visible part of this shift, paradigm shift, is time spent in the classroom reduces and the time spent in the home increases. That is the only visible change they can experience. And what about teachers? Teachers can say that the time spent in the classroom decreases, but time spent in the technology classroom increases. This is a state. What is visible? Simple, very simple. So the question is this change serious? And the question is focusing towards or aiming towards three groups, three stakeholders involved in this sudden shift, sudden change: parents, teachers, and student. Is this change a serious one? Should we prepare for it, or what things must be taken care of? Is this serious? Will it cause any frustration? This change, any change usually causes frustration. The question is, this change, will it result in any kind of frustration to the parties involved in it? It depends whether you will get frustrated, or this change will cause any tension to you, parents, tension to parents, or frustration to teacher, frustration to students. It depends on your awareness of three things. What are those three things? Awareness of the new shape of the same responsibilities. Parents, teachers, students have to deal with the same responsibilities, but those responsibilities come in new shape. They are taking new shape, same responsibility. They have to deal with it. They have to recognize it. And your awareness of what you are going to miss, what teacher is going to miss, what parent is going to miss, what student is going to miss due to this shift into online platform. You must be aware of it. If you are aware, you can deal with the shift or change effectively. And awareness of what is to be intensified in order to deal with this change. What must be taken care of? What must be intensified in order to compensate with the loss due to that happened due to the change? These are the questions. If you are aware, you can deal with the change without much frustration. Yes, responsibilities in new shape. You might be wondering. Let us look into it. What is the new shape of responsibilities of main three stakeholders involved in this change? That is parents, teachers, and students. Get ready to redefine means you have to push the boundaries of your responsibilities. Parents, teachers, and students must be ready to push the boundaries or redefine, or or redraw the contours of their responsibilities. You must be get ready for it, because for teachers the change comes in this shape, that is they have to update in the limitless possibilities of technology. Most teachers were not prepared for this sudden change. They have to learn a lot in the present scenario in order to give the lessons students properly, effectively, in order to deliver it, they had to learn many techniques. And motivating a student in the usual classroom setting is very different from motivating a student in the online on the online platform. When the student is coming to the teacher through online mode, the usual motivation techniques she can't use. She has to discover new techniques, new ways of motivating students. She has to search for it, seek for it, experiment with it. And for parents, the burden increases. Their duty is going to increases because burden of motivating and in the helping the student to learn for effectiveness in his learning is largely going to be invested in the hands of the parents. Yes, you had to agree with it or accept it, because classroom management is in this scenario is a shared responsibility, because home is the new classroom and managing the classroom, teacher cannot do that alone. Without the help of the parent, teacher cannot manage the new classroom. So classroom management is now a shared responsibility between the parent and the teacher. But the fact is, not all parents are well equipped for the optimal involvement. There is a thing called optimal educational involvement of parent. Optimal means right kind of involvement of parent. There is a thing called it. Not all parents are not aware. Not all parents are aware. What is the right kind of involvement? What is a proper involvement in the learning activities of the child? Hence, parent have to communicate with the teacher. Communication with the teacher must be made a daily event. This is a parents. And for students, if there are any students listening to my speech, take care of this. What kind of students are going to flourish or succeed in the online learning scenario? Only those students with the self-regulation skill, not the students, not some students having high intellectual capacities, and they might be willing to work hard. No, only those students who know how to self-regulate their learning activities. Students with the self-regulation skills are going to flourish in this platform. If your child is not aware of this, make him aware of it. He must learn to self-regulate his learning activities. So growing in self-regulation is indispensable. So all of you might be asking, what is the self-regulated student? How can I know that my child is growing or picking up the skill of self-regulation? How can I know that? So parents, please listen. What are the characteristics of a self-regulated student? It is simple. You can understand this. These are the characteristics of a self-regulated student, a student who have acquired the skill of self-regulation in his learning activities will have these characteristics or qualities. Student knows how to plan his studies, how to set goals for his studies, and he search for suitable strategies for his studies. And he apply those strategies and monitor, at the same time he monitor his learning activities, self-monitoring capacities he develops. And he watch his own performance, how well I did, and reflect on his performance. Means he thinks what all things are needed more in order to better my performance. And he, after each performance, he gets some lessons, or after on reflecting on his own performance, he gets some results about his own learning habits, preferences, and all that. And he uses that insight, those insight, into the next cycle of learning. A student having this capacities, this characteristics or skills, we can term, we can call such students as self-regulated student having self-regulation skills. So you might be, parents might be asking from the beginning itself, is a student is able, will be able to develop this quality of self-regulation? No, we have to help him to develop this skill of self-regulation in learning step by step. But we can do it, that is a fact. From the age 11 onwards, a student must be well versed in self-regulation. This is a repeated points are there in the slide, that is plan, set goals, apply strategies, and evaluate. And what is the main quality or main ingredient that needed for developing in self-regulation? This is it, metacognition. You might not be familiar with this word, metacognition, but every experiments and research outcomes in the education and learning is coming out a host of results regarding the academic performance of the students who practice this skill, that is metacognitive skill. They say that all the research outcomes say that the students who practice self-regulation and metacognition come out successfully in their academic performance. Even the student with low academic standards develop in his studies academic performance. He develops very soon if he acquires these skills. So what is metacognition? It is simple. I think you know the word meaning of the word cognition. Cognition generally represents our entire thinking process. The word cognition represented, and metacognition means our ability to become aware of our own thinking process. In other words, our ability to of think about our own thinking. There isn't enough time to explain this wide topic called metacognition. What is metacognition? But for the awareness of parents and teachers gathered here, I will be explaining 2 or 3 slides on this metacognition. What is metacognition? Let us move on. It is how we monitor and control our own mental processes. It is a way of looking inward. It is a way of becoming aware of our own thought processes, our own decisions based on our own thought processes, our own behaviors based on it, and contemplating or reflecting on it. It is a quality that we have to develop deliberately. With the practice, we can develop it. Is this quality, that is metacognitive skill. And we can help the student, or student themselves can help them help in order to develop metacognition in learning. For example, student can ask himself certain questions before the learning, during the learning, after the learning. For example, before the learning, student must be asking, what is the purpose of the learning this chapter of physics, say? What I am supposed to accomplish by learning this portion of mathematics? What are the goals of my this study session? And what are plans, what are strategies I must apply to master the things mentioned here? Should I read? Should I reread? Should I work out the problems? He will be asking to himself. And during the learning activity, while he is engaged in the learning, in the backdrop of his mind, he will be asking whether this method is going to help me in accomplishing my goal. Need I change to anything in order to perform well? Should I extend my number of hours I learn, or number of minutes or hours I learn? Should I work out more problems? He might be asking in the backdrop of his mind. Such simple questions, it's enough to develop in metacognition. We teachers and parents can help the students to develop this quality. And after the learning, what worked well, why I performed in such a way, why I got this mark, and what must be made in order to, what all kind changes I must bring forth in order to improve my performance. He can ask himself. This habit of asking is enough to develop metacognition. Parents can start asking the students the same questions before learning, during learning, and after learning. Parents and teachers themselves. And in the long run, student will take up this habit of inquiring his about his learning activities from the beginning to end. And this is a simple definition about metacognition, a heightened awareness. You need not be aware of your thinking process, but there is a situation, or there is a level, or there is a level of awareness at which we become aware of our thought process, the thinking process, our thinking preferences, our likes, dislikes. We become aware of it. There is a state. We must be able to invite students or bring students into that level. Then we can say that he is developing in metacognition skills. And I repeat that without this skill, it will be difficult to pick up the self-regulation skills in learning. So this must go together. These two things, that self-regulation and metacognition skills must go together, actually. And this is the present scenario of our schools, present situation of our schools. No more classrooms. And we are not sure, though we are listening to the news reports that vaccine is likely to come without any delay, but still it is uncertain. We don't know when this state is going to end. So we must go deep into the psychosocial aspects of this situation. What parents, students, and teachers are missing, and what all things must be intensified in order to compensate the things that we are missing. We must look into it. Then only we can enter into action, or we can practice new strategies in order to safeguard the quality of learning as well as teaching. Let us look. This is a fact, that is sense of responsibility. Student must be able to take responsibility of his own studies when he is doing it in the online mode. For that, parents must be take care this fact, that is, he must improve in his self-disciplining. That is, there must be some discipline must be developed. There must develop some discipline in his learning activities, daily learning habits. Parents must help him, because without disciplining, it is very difficult to enter into that sense of responsibility. So parents must help to form a disciplined approach towards the online learning sessions. And the third factor is, we cannot apply external motivational resources much. So in order to motivate the student who is following a learning in the on the online platform, we must know that his inner resources of motivation must be leveraged. What are the inner resources of motivation? There are two kinds of resources of motivation. The one is external resources of motivation, and the other is internal resources of motivation. And teachers, parents must know what are they? What are the internal resources of motivation? External resources of motivation, all of us are aware. They are rewards, praises. The teacher gives rewards, praises, grace marks, or grades. All these are external resources of motivation. What are the inner resources of motivation? Actually, there are only two resources, inner resources, that we can term as inner resources. The first one is students' desire for learning. Means if the student has that desire for learning, no other motivation is needed actually. This source is enough, his desire to learn. And how can we protect and enrich his desire for learning? That is a question. With the help of curiosity and interest in learning. Teachers, while giving the lessons through online platform, must safeguard his curiosity and interest, must leverage these qualities, must protect his inclinations towards curiosity and interest. So we can preserve his desire for learning, and he will move on with on that motivational force. And joy of learning must be there. How we can provide joy in learning? Joy of learning hinges on two things. That is, challenges must be there and proper feedbacks must be there. And there are many things to preserve joy of learning in the mind of the students. And teachers must look into those facts, and parents too get some awareness or information regarding the inner resources of learning. Sorry, motivating. And we must be aware what is going to miss due to this sudden shift, sudden change in paradigm. What we are going to miss, what parent is missing, what teacher is missing, and what student is missing. Teachers, what is teaching? Have you thought how what actually happens inside the classroom when a teacher is teaching, standing on the platform, looking at the faces of the student? What is happening actually? Actually, when a teacher look at the face of the students, he gets some immediate feedback from the students, from the way the student looks at the teacher, from the way the student pays attention to the teacher, the way in which the student sits, the way in which the student indulge in learning activities. From all these students from all these informations getting from the student, teacher understands, realizes whether the student is enjoying or really paying attention or showing interest in his or her class, whether the student is enjoying the class or actually involving in the class activities. And according to these cues the teacher gets from the face of the student, teacher regulates his own learning. Sorry, is here on teaching activities. So real faces of the students, real learning situation helps the teacher to regulate her teaching activities actually. And on the online platform, teacher is going to miss this facility. There are some limitations to get immediate feedback from the students. This is a great loss or huge loss that teachers are confronting due to this unprecedented change. What teacher is going to miss? These are the three things, another three things that teacher is missing. Teacher misses the opportunity to ensure whether the student is genuinely involving in this learning, in the study. Genuinely, the student is involving in the study. And teachers' ability or opportunity, capacity to establish strong interpersonal relationship with the student is going to decrease. In the online, when the online platform learning is taking place, there are some limitations for this in order to establish good interpersonal relationship. But entire world, all over the world, the researchers are coming out that the attitude of the student towards the learning, towards a particular subject, his interest towards a particular subject, and his academic performance, all these things depends very much on the kind of the relationship student shares with the teacher. Interpersonal relationship with the teacher matters a lot, and teachers are going to miss it. Now, what parents are going to miss? Parents are going to miss the usual freedom and feeling of security they used to enjoy when they leave the student, leave their child in the school in the morning. Till evening, they feel secure that my child is inside the school, inside the classroom. At least he is sitting for learning in front of the teacher, inside the classroom, inside the school. This feeling of security and freedom is going to lose for the parents, especially working parents will be suffering from this loss very gravely. And they have to make sure that a student is spending time. Another burden is they have to, parent has to make sure that a student is spending enough time in front of the study table. They have to. It is a must because teacher is helpless. And now, in the new scenario, may even result in increased parent-child conflict. Their interests, interest of the parent and interest of the child, are going to get into more clashes, and parent-adolescent conflicts are likely to increase due to this situations. And for the students, they are going to lose this. This is the thing they are going to lose. That is social process, socialization process, because learning is itself is a social experience. It is a collective experience. Learning actually take place through sharing, interchanging of ideas. It is a social activity actually. And the most beneficial or most effective teaching and learning methods, that is elaboration and brainstorming, like that classroom activities, are going to lose its place in the new scenario only when it is taking place in the online platform. So students will be missing these things. You must know that learning is not only intellectual process. It is not exclusively an intellectual process, this learning. It is emotional. So emotional part of the learning process students are going to miss. And learning is not something that take place inside the classroom only. It takes place outside the classroom too. And they are going to miss the playground, which is say all these things are indispensable for the whole child development actually. In other words, events that are taking place outside the classroom are complementary to events that take place inside the classroom. We cannot separate it. They must be complement. They must feed into each other actually. So they are going to miss a great part of any pertinent part of learning process, effective learning process. And there are some things which parents themselves are not aware. And there are some things which even teachers themselves are not aware. There are some issues involved in online learning. What are they? Actually, on the online platform, you can see that the teacher focuses on much on the theory part of this learning content, because there is a minimal possibility for involving in the practical side of learning program when it is happening on the online platform. So the subjects like mathematics will suffer because there is not much possibility for learning by doing when it is take place in, because in the classroom setting you can see teacher can make sure that student is actually working out or going through the problems. So certain subjects will suffer. Mathematical skill, developing of mathematical skill cannot take place 100% successively when the learning is taking place in the online platform. And in the online mode, student feedback is limited actually. And there is possibility for social isolation when the online is likely to happen for a long time, for a long period of time. And this another thing, not so noticed issues. Only those students with strong self-motivation. Students must be able to motivate themselves. They must be able to self-regulate their learning and manage their time effectively. Such students are going to come up successfully in this online mode of learning. And if this online mode of learning continues for 2 or 3 years, suppose 2 or 3 years, your child pursue this online mode of learning, what is going to happen is his communication skill will reduce automatically. Yes, he is missing the opportunity to communicate with classmates and friends. This skill will reduce or decrease. Especially in second language, student will fail to develop enough communication skills. And cheating and prevention. Many students are have that tendency to cheat. To prevent cheating or malpractices that students are likely to commit when the learning is taking place online in the online mode, it is very difficult to control and monitor things like this. And this is a fact we have to agree, that is pornography. There is a danger of it, because I'm going to present here some statistics I collected from various surveys, and parents must be well aware of it, because it is there. It is a fact now. Never think that my child is not going to be a victim of this. If your child is above 11 years old, you must be aware of it. You must be aware of it. This is a survey result conducted among teens. I have written the name of the website. If you are interested, you may contact me. I will present you the details of this statistics from the website. That is, says that 50% of students between 11 to 13 years old and 65% of students between 14 to 15 years old and 78% of the students between 16 to 7 years old reported having seen pornography. And 67% of children admitted that they clear their internet history after watching porn, because they are tech savvy. New generation is technologically far more better compared to old generation. They know where they are going to be trapped or detected. So after browsing for porn clips, they delete. 67% of the children said that they delete the history. And 79% of accidental exposure to porn, the first exposure or accidental exposure to porn took place inside the home. 79% of students or children was reported like this, kids, among kids. And you must know, in the world of internet, 12% of websites are pornographic. 12% of web. That means approximately 25 million websites are pornographic. And 60% of the parents claim to have discussed, or while conducting the survey, the person who conducted this survey, or the organization which conducted this survey, say that they conducted the survey not only among the students but their parents also. And parents, 60% of the parents said that they discuss with their child about pornography and its dangers. But on conduct or collecting the data from the children said that only very few children agreed with the statement of the parent that they used to discuss the things related to porn with their parents. That means a report of the parent and report of the children was contrary to each other. Now, pornography among teen statistics says that, continues that 75% of the parents felt their child would not have seen pornography. 75% of the parents had that conviction. My child is not going to watch porn. But children, when the survey conducted among the children, 53% said they had in fact seen pornography. And 25% of search engines request in the world of internet, 25% of search engine requests are about pornography related. Pornography, about porn clips. That means approximately 70 million per day search requests are there on porn content. And you must know that only 3% of pornographic websites require age verification. Now there are some restrictions that we must report the age level of the searcher who wanted to see the porn. They have to report, they have to give the data related to their age. But only 3% of the websites require for age condition. And 10% of the pornography users report being addicted. This is a statistics of the persons who reported, that 10% reported. But there will be many who are not ready to report or agree that they are addicted to porn. And the average age of a child who is likely to see or develop that habit of watching porn is 11 years. So parents might take care of these facts. And what is the danger? What kind of danger it is likely to make on the learning of your child is, these are the reports I got from various studies published in reputed journals. That is, watching porn on a regular basis, or student or your student, child is developing that capacity. At first, it is likely to affect his working memory. Working memory is the first place where the learning take place. Any activity related to learning, at first it takes place in working memory. If the actual learning that happened in working memory is proper, it will be taken into long term memory. So watching porn will definitely affect the working memory of your child. Take care of it. And developing brains will fail to develop developing brains will fail to develop some functions of useful functions of the brains if they get addicted to pornography in their developing phase. So their brain will not develop and mature as we expect. This is the drawback of watching pornography going to make on learning. Our brains react to pornography when we see porn clips or porn images, porn videos. What happens is, 2 or 3 times we watch pornography, and the next time when we see any porn, or a fourth time when we watch pornography, what happens is our brain react in the same way as that of an alcoholic. This is a study published in 2014. It's a reputed journal. It's a Western study actually. So there is high possibility for your child to get addicted to pornography in the growing phases. So what we can do in order to safeguard our child, protect our child, and ensure quality learning inside the home environment, while the education is and teaching and learning is taking place on the online platform. Parents must be prepared, teachers must be prepared, and students themselves must be prepared. I'll be giving out in this third portion of my presentation some tips for parents and teachers and students themselves. We must be ready to have a plan. What we must do, what must change, what must be our approach, and what kind of goals or what kind of results we want. Regarding these questions, we must have some vision, strategy, and we must be ready to execute it. Then we can definitely reach success. This is the most important thing. Parental involvement should be there. Right kind of parental involvement in the online learning should be there. Parents must be ready to ensure it for their child. And not all parents are aware what is the right kind of parental involvement. Such parents must be given training and awareness from the school authorities. If that is not possible in this time, they can depend upon other resources such as like this webinars like this they can attend, and they can communicate with the educators. They can read articles on online learning and all that. The point is, the crux is, that is very the major important point of parental involvement is this: each parent must be able to strike the right balance between monitoring and motivating students, their children. Some parents are very good at monitoring the student or their child, I mean. Some parents are very good at monitoring whether he is studying, whether he is spending time on video game, computer game, or watching TV. They are monitoring and even punishing or giving instructions. They are better at, but they will be bad at motivating the child. Some parents must be might be more better, might be good at motivating the child, but in the case of right kind of monitoring, they will take back seat. This is a stage now, but you must know what is the right balance between monitoring and motivating the student without hurting the autonomy, need for autonomy of the child. You must know tips for safeguarding students' interest. When this balance loses from the side of the parent, if the parent is not aware of the right kind of balancing between monitoring and motivating, what happens is student or child loses interest in learning. That is a danger of going out of balance. Parents must be well aware of this. For this, the one reliable person that can help the parent in this venture is teacher. Parent-teacher communication must be made, if possible, a daily event. But at the same time, this must be a cause of frustration for your child, because if you some students hate their parent speaking to the teacher. Here, the students, the majority of the students do not like for the parent to speak or communicate with the teacher. It should not be so, because it causes your communication between the parent and the teacher must not cause any frustration to the child. So you were both parties involved in the communication, that is teacher and parents, must be able to figure out the kind of communication they are expected to make on a daily basis, and never hurt the students' need for autonomy. And we will be discussing about it later. And parents themselves can share about their experiences, how to help the student in this new scenario. So sharing between the parents, among the parents, will help a lot. And these are the tips for parent. Exhibit, show, display your interest in his learning activities. Even if you are an illiterate parent, you don't know anything about the learning activities and what all things are learning. You just show curiosity, interest in his learning activities. Spend quality time with the child. Talk to the child on a daily basis. Not even a single day should not be missed. Should be missed. Never miss even a day. to talk to the child about his learning activities, his interest, what his likes and his dislikes, all must be shared with parent. Exhort him to share online experiences. Online experiences means his emotional reactions, his likes, dislikes, and all that. Encourage him to share and give him the feeling, give the student, give the child a feeling that I can share anything with my parents. Give him the feeling. It is very, very important. The last point, the student or the child must get this feeling. Then only he will be safe. And you can create a right channel, an effective channel to protect him, to monitor him, to motivate him. Otherwise, he will move away from you. Now, help him to have a plan regarding the online learning. Help him to make a plan and you participate in the plan making. Give him suggestions. But it must be a shared decision making program. This planning for the study. And set apart is quite a time and space for learning. Make sure that there is a quiet and convenient time and space for learning inside the home. And this point, last point, is very, very important. If you want your child's brain to function properly, in order to learn the lessons that he is going to get through online mode, you must make sure that he is getting enough physical exercise. Take care of it. Physical exercise, make sure, because blood must flow to the brain and in a proper manner for him to think, learn, memorize, and all that. In this time of lockdown, you must make some arrangements or you must make sure that online mode of learning, sorry, physical exercise is happening properly. And these are the points you must notice. Never criticize his online activities. Once you criticize, especially your child has reached at adolescent level, he will be in intense need for autonomy and his own space, privacy, and all that. And once you start criticizing his online behavior, he will stop disclosing many things from you. And the danger lies there. There will develop a gap between you and your child. And he will be stopping disclosing. He will be hiding many things and never spy. Some parents are like that. They do not speak straight their concerns and their doubts. They do not straightly ask the child. They just hide somewhere and monitor from behind. Never do that. Once child comes to know that, he will definitely move away from you. And never be a helicopter parent. Have him in a freedom of choice as well as respect his likes and dislikes. At the same time, you will be having some concerns regarding his activities, regarding his way of spending time in the online platform. And you will be having some strain or anxieties whether he is likely to go this way or he is having many things to learn at the time he is playing in the computer game. And all these concerns, whenever you have concerns and anxieties, let the child know. Yes, let the child know. Yes, I have such and such doubts and misgivings, anxieties, questions in my mind. What do you say, my child? I have this. Then give him opportunity to understand your emotional level or your thoughts regarding his activities. Let there be sharing and make sure that his online activities are well balanced by offline learning activities. You must know that this learning activities like reading, practicing by writing or working out problems, memorizing, self testing, revising, all these are offline activities. You must make sure that this online activities must be balanced or compensated or complemented with these offline activities. Otherwise, learning will not take place. Every day, on everyday basis, you must make sure this. Sure, you can set limits. You can ask your student or say your child that you are allotted this much time. Do not spend this much time on the computer game, or do not spend this much time in front of TV. You can ask, you can suggest, but it is the self. We can call it as self limiting. Each parent can apply this self limiting in as a process of disciplining the child, but there are some things you must take taken care of while trying to disciplining the child. You can set a limit for online hours, but explain your whys. Your child must understand why you are saying this. Why my mother is saying that I can spend only 1 hour playing the computer game. You must be answerable. Yes, each parent must be able to convince him, and you must make your child agree with your explanations. Whatever explanations are you are giving for your disciplining standards, you must make sure your child agree with your explanations. And one thing is, he must be given freedom to express his opinions and choices. It is not a one-way track. Disciplining should not be a one-way track. It should be a two-way track. His choices, his preferences, his likes and dislikes must be taken into consideration while setting limits for his activities. That, in other words, it must be a combined form of a decision making between the parent and the child. This is a democratic way of parenting, and this is the norm nowadays. Otherwise, you will not get your child. He will move away from it, at least from you, at least mentally. It is a fact. You have to acknowledge it. And these are the, if you fumble or if you make any mistakes in your disciplining practices, this is what going to happen. There are 3 basic psychological needs which help each child to grow into his potential, his maximum possible potential, intellectually, physically, and even along all dimensions. A student or a child can flourish and experience, enjoy well-being and well-functioning in his life only if his environment, whether it is home or his school, is helpful in satisfying these 3 basic psychological needs. That is, need for competence, need for relatedness, need for autonomy. This is the latest psychological theory which has got approved after many empirical studies. That is, if your classroom, if your home environment, whatever may be happening in this environment, if those happenings are capable of satisfying these 3 psychological needs, your child will function in a higher level. These needs are autonomy, competence, relatedness. Autonomy is the desire of an individual or an organism to lead his life in his own way, in his preferred way, to be author of his own life. This is the need for autonomy, and it is strong in each and every human being. Science says that. And competence, each and every human being have that drive to prove his worth. That is, he is capable of working or functioning effectively in certain fields. He must prove himself in some or other area. This is the need for competence. And the third one is relatedness. That is, it is an intense desire to establish meaningful and enduring relationship with other human fellow beings. And whenever these needs are hurt, your child's development and growth along many dimensions will be hindered. It is a fact. So when you are disciplined, when there are some errors in your disciplining processes, what is actually happening is these psychological need satisfaction is hindered, and his child suffers, and his academic performance, not only academic performance, and entire well-being will be affected by this. So finally, what we can do is intensify parent teacher partnership. At this time, this unprecedented, we were not prepared, so immediate help you can get from teacher. So make it a point that you strike a good relationship with the teacher teaching community in order to safeguard the quality of learning and teaching itself. And optimal parental involvement, search for it. What is it? Each parent must search for it. What is meant by optimal parent involvement? In that sense, each parent must be like a student, I will say. They have to investigate, they have to research, experiment, make a parenting scenario, parenting situation as a learning situation. Each and every day you can learn new things about parenting. It is very much exciting, actually, parenting, if you take it in the right sense. And momentum of a school education is determined by right kind of parental involvement. So teacher parent school collaboration is a must. Without the help of the parent, teachers can't do anything, especially in this present situation. And we can see 4 types of parents are there. Among the audience itself, we can see that these guys, you determine, you decide to which category you belong. The first category is they might be well educated, and they will have a well awareness, or they know well what is learning, what all activities or what is needed for optimal learning of my child, what are the right kind of dynamics happening behind the learning. These are the one kind of parents, one group of parents. And the second group, you can see some parents might be well educated, they will be in high position regarding their profession or job, but they need not have much awareness into the right dynamics behind the learning. What kind of environment, what kind of emotional situation, psychosocial environment inside the home is needed for the learning to take place, they need not be aware of it. This second group of parents. And yes, there might be some parents who are not so educated, they are not aware what is learning, and they may be illiterate. And the fourth group, they belong to low socio-economic status, means they are the most of their time is they are spending for making both ends meet, because they have to think about how to get meal for each day, at least once or twice meal for their thinking will be in that line, and they will not have energy to invest in the learning activities of the child. This is a situation. 4 kinds of parents are there. Of the last 2 kinds, only teachers can help them. The third and four groups, for third and fourth parents belonging to third group and fourth group. And another, we can categorize parents into another 3 groups. That is, there are some parents who are eager to communicate with the teachers on a daily basis. They will be calling the teacher groups, and asking repeatedly again and again, how is my student? How is my child? What is he doing? And all that. And the second group of parents, they are reluctant to take any initiative. They feel that there is no necessity. They are reluctant to communicate with the teacher somehow. Maybe reason behind it. Evident reasons may be there. Anyway, third kind of parents are there. Third group is they are not aware of importance of communicating with the teachers. They are not aware. They do not know. It matters a lot. The communicating with the teacher matters a lot. They do not know, simply do not know that importance of it. And these three groups are there regarding the parents. And it is a duty of the teacher, teaching group, and the school authorities to create optimal parental involvement. For that, periodic webinars and workshops can be conducted from the school authorities or parents themselves. Is available nowadays. So many free webinars are available for parents, parental groups, and so you can depend upon it. Parental awareness programs can be conducted for parents from the side of the school and authorities, and conduct a data support analysis. School counselors can do a lot in order to give advice to school authorities and the parents themselves based on the data they collected from the present scenario of education. And we must make sure no parent is left out if you want to improve the quality or safeguard the quality of Indian education system. And we must understand, while we speaking about communication between the parent and the child, we must take care that communication is not for academic purposes, not only for academic purpose, but while communicating, not only the academic side of the student, but his emotional, social, physical, and even spiritual well-being must come into the discussion between the topic of communication between the parent and teacher. That kind of relationship must be developed. Teacher, both teacher and parent must look into the student as a whole child, must be able to, and their communication must reflect it. A whole child mentality should be reflected in their communications. That is the point. So this is the ultimate formula for safeguarding the quality of education. That is parent, teacher, student. This is a temporary shift. This online learning and teaching, it is a temporary shift. We are sure, let us hope, no, it is sure that is this too will pass. Thank you.
Shukanya ma'am, please ask any questions if you have participants.
Sure, they can ask.
Ma'am, one question from participants. For years, we have been talking about the dangerous risks being online. Now, this pandemic situation, how can government or educational bodies justify the use of online platforms for academic purpose?
Yes, at the present scenario, we are in a pathetic situation in India, actually, because there is digital divide is so crucial and very evident in our Indian nation, actually. So, from the government side, what we can do at present, this question must be answered from their side, actually. But we were not prepared for this, and it is not only the education which has been affected by this, our financial system and all other aspects of the society has been affected by it. So all on a sudden, government, from the side of government itself, it is difficult to chalk out a cogent plan to combat this situation. And the only hope is that within 2 or 3 months the vaccine will arrive and we will go back to our old condition, I mean past state. All on a sudden, I don't hope that we can make a reliable policy, or given the situation of present situation of India is concerned, I mean taken, when taking into account the present situation, because digital divide is so severe. We can make a policy or some approach towards the education, if it is applicable to entire student group of our nation. And at this stage, it is very, very difficult. If Kerala government thought of distributing this, I think this digital devices to students who are who suffer from disadvantage, but it is not able to implement right now because we are in a critical condition. So let us wait. That is what we can do. I can't speak about a particular policy that will help us to deal with the situation in this present scenario. I'm helpless actually. I don't know how to answer this question. But I hope that within 2 months, everything will come back and we will resume our past state. And let us hope for good days. Okay, next. Anybody?
One undergraduate students asks us how many hours of online teaching is permissible for the undergraduate students.
Undergraduate students, that is I think in the school setup it is not permitted actually, but in the private session it is going on. In the government, under the government session, online teaching, you can, a teacher can make or deliver the subjects in the online mode if she can make sure that all her students are accessible to her teaching content. And in the undergraduate session, I think such a restrictions have made in the undergraduate session, I think. You are speaking about plus two level, the questionnaire, the person who has asked it.
He's, I think, BA in psychology now.
BA, yes, I think the government has produced any restrictions or any law or any restrictions in this regard. I think government has not produced, but government has come forward with some restrictions regarding the school educations taking place in the online platform. Yes. Next
Thank you, ma'am.
question. Okay.
There are no more any questions. I am here to purpose vote of thanks. I am very much grateful uh, to Dr. Jeny Raphael ma'am for his valuable guidance, for his words of wisdom during this pandemic. We are really appreciate ma'am for taking out time from your busy schedule. It's always been pleasure to listen you. We also expect you for upcoming webinars on some other topics. I am also thankful to all participants for their patience listening, and without your patience, this webinar would not have been successful. Thanks to all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot.